Welcome back to the BMW 2 Series. I have reviewed a BMW M2 on the channel, and I thought it might be good to review the absolute opposite of the M2 in the 2 Series spectrum. This is a 2024 230i xDrive Coupe, and this is the Sportline package critically, which means it's not the M Sport, which is kind of what I prefer. I prefer something with a bit of a softer ride. I don't want something that's harsh and only designed to go around corners. I want something that can be driven every day. And I think out of all the BMWs I've driven, yes, including the M cars, this is my absolute favorite, and this is the one that I would take over all of the others. Think I'm crazy? Well, so do I. So let's take a review type tour of this 2 Series, and I'm going to talk to you about why this is the best BMW on sale. Let's check out the cargo area on the 2 Series Coupe, which isn't really that big. Nobody is surprised by that, obviously, but it's big enough for a normal 2-door coupe, and whoever owns one of those cars is big enough for their needs, basically. But if you need even more room, you can release the backrest for the rear seats and push longer items through. In terms of complaints, there's one big one. There's no toolkit, which on a driver-focused BMW like the 2 Series Coupe, I would expect and want. But instead, we just have a sticker, a number that you call when your 4-cylinder 2 Series inevitably breaks down. Let's just hope this 4-cylinder in there doesn't have the same reputation as the previous 4-cylinder that the 2 Series had. Not a good one. It's pretty much what you'd expect for a trunk space back here. Not big, but good enough for the typical owner of this car and their needs. And one thing that I have to say that speaks measures on this car is there is pretty much no area where you can tell that they skipped out on anything to save money. This trunk lid has a cover underneath it, which on the cheapest models, sometimes you don't see. There's carpeting all throughout. You've got this little skid plate here for when you're dragging heavy cargo out. I guess there's no cargo net over here like what you normally see in some BMWs, but there really isn't any cost cutting. You do see, however, in the top of the trunk, there is some exposed metal. They didn't bother to cover that up, so that's a cost-cutting measure, I guess, but there really isn't anything back here. It's just exactly what you'd expect from a trunk space on something like a 5 Series or a 7 Series. It's got plenty of room, it's all carpeted, and it works. So yeah. For anybody who's having a bad day and wants something to laugh at, I'm a 6'3" tall human being, quite tall, and I'm about to squeeze myself into the back of BMW's smallest 2-door vehicle. Now, in my family, I definitely got the tall genes. I'm the tallest person in my family, and this is where those genetics come with a price. And okay, I gotta do something with my knees or else they're gonna break. And I'm man spreading, and the seat's still, okay, you can stop, you can stop, you can stop. Oh my God. Comfort speaks for itself. I don't know the definition of the word comfort right now because my left knee is starting to hurt quite badly because the driver's seat is wedging it between itself and the back panel right here. So before I start crying from the pain that is growing in my left knee, let's talk about interior stuff back here. There is a center fold down armrest here with cup holders. That is actually a quite nice feature for a car like this. Back here, I've also got a little storage area, which is reminiscent of the storage area that I think started in the E92 3 Series Coupe and convertible, and I hate myself for knowing that. But there is a little storage area. You can fit your phone or whatever back here, your waiver that you're signing to the driver because they put you back here and there's no guarantee that you're going to survive the journey if you're stuffed back here. So you got to put your papers, your waiver right there. In terms of build quality and materials, this is a little bit plasticky, but what's nice is that this is BMW's least expensive 2-door vehicle, and it's their smallest 2-door. Obviously, there's no room back here for rear passengers, yet they didn't skip out on build quality. This speaker cover feels kind of cheap, but everything else is either soft touch plastic or just decent, nice materials. It really doesn't feel like they skipped out on anything here, except for when you look at this central panel here. Yes, there are air vents, which is nice to see back here, but there's no climate control. But this panel was obviously originally for climate control cars, but they just kind of filled it in. It's got a large blank area and it's cheap feeling plastic. That back here is really the only example of cost cutting in their, again, second least expensive model and least expensive 2-door car. And there's no room back here for rear passengers, But honestly, if you've seen my 228i Grand Coupe review, which is a car I don't like, there's not that much more room back there, and that car is a four-door car, and it can't make excuses for that. This car, you can't expect it to be that comfortable back here. I'm going to release my knee. Ow. Back here, it's okay for kids, but for adults, who is surprised by the fact that it's not good? So let's move forward. It's obviously a lot more comfortable up here. I'm sitting on the basic BMW Sensatec leather seats, but they still have adjustable thigh support for extra comfort, and they feel reasonably supportive through turns and things like that, but they are soft and they are very comfortable seats to sit on. So I have no complaints there. The one real complaint that I have is the fact that there is no 6-speed manual available anymore. Unfortunately, it's just the 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, which is a very good transmission. It's fast, it's intelligent, reliable, no complaints there, but it's an automatic. That's really the only complaint. I wish this car had a third pedal, but that's only available on the top level M2, unfortunately. But it's at least nice that we get a manual and something. I just wish it was here. There's a little storage area in there with USB-C outlet, which is nice. And let's talk about interior quality real quick, because up front in the 2 Series Coupe, there is really no evidence of them cost cutting. There's no evidence of really cheap feeling materials. It's just everything feels nice, which is something that can't be said for the 228i Grand Coupe that I reviewed, which the interior in that feels like a 2004 Saturn compared to this. This car is an absolutely well screwed together, beautiful, high quality interior. Everything feels solid. Everything feels expensive-ish to the touch. It's got plenty of equipment. It's got 3 drive modes: Eco, Pro, Comfort, and Sport mode. It's got BMW's iDrive 8, which I've gone over 1,000 times, which is a very good infotainment system. Doesn't take that much getting used to, and it's everything that I would need, to be honest. It's absolutely perfect. There's many apps, like a lot of apps, and it has Apple CarPlay, which is a nice thing to have. I love this digital gauge cluster, which changes not that much, not as much as you'd want between going through different drive modes, but you can configure it a reasonable amount. And what I would do is just put my music in the center and just leave it there forever. It's a good digital gauge cluster. Other manufacturers do it a lot better with full screen maps and so on, but for me and my uses and my needs and wants, it's absolutely perfect enough. It's just fine. It's pretty much gimmick free up here. It's just the basic 2-door BMW. No stupid motorsport reminders, no ridiculous features. It's just everything that I would want, minus a manual transmission up here. I would skip out on this black gloss trim because it's a total absolute fingerprint magnet, but right now it looks nice because I haven't taken my sweaty fingers and run them along it. I'm not going to do that. And obviously this isn't a 7 Series interior up here. It's easily satisfactory for the car's price point and where it sits in the brand. It's just totally fine. And it's nice to look around, especially this door panel here, and not see any M logos, not see the M colors, nothing like that, because this is not the M Sport. It's got no motorsport heritage to it, which I kind of like. The fact that it's just an honest driver-focused BMW 2-door coupe that isn't focused on being hardcore and fast and sporty and motorsport and all this other stuff. And the M2 that I reviewed, it had a motorsport flag here in the door panel. In this car, it's just blacked out. It's available if you want to be that guy that's trying to impress the fine lady in the passenger seat, saying, yeah, you see that? That's the M flag. So you know that I've got the M BMW. If you're one of those people, get some help. Before we look at the engine, take a look at this wheel and tire setup. Find me another 2-door sporty driver-focused BMW these days that is new, that has no M logos anywhere on the wheel or on the brake caliper, and has a basic all-season tire with no run flat component in it. No stupid run flats in here. When the tire goes, I just replace it with another tire, no problems at all. I'd rather have a basic all-season tire with no run flats and a basic wheel design that's still beautiful, but isn't ridiculously show-offy, doesn't have M logos everywhere you look. It's just a decent, modern, beautiful BMW wheel with no gimmicks and no stupid features attached to it. This is exactly how I would want it to be. We have seen this engine before. This is, I think it's called the B46 something. I'll flash the actual name of it on the screen. I didn't look it up. But this is the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that is in a lot of BMWs these days. The 330i, the 530i, the xDrive 30i, X3, and X4. So this engine is proven, and it's in a lot of BMWs these days. It makes 255 horsepower, which is enough to propel this 230i from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.1 seconds. And in terms of fuel economy, it's really good too. In this car, quoted I think at 26 city, 35 highway. But BMW's four cylinders of the last 15 years haven't had a great reputation for reliability. So let's hope that this one's different. It's exactly the right amount of power for a car like this. Don't believe me? Well, let me show you. Let's take it out for a drive. In terms of driving, this is the best BMW on the market. Even beats all the M cars in terms of everyday driving feel and drivability. This car beats all of them. This is the best driving BMW, in my opinion. Don't hate me too much, but I have points to back it up. First of all, it handles incredibly well. The steering is very quick, very precise, very predictable. Yeah, there's not that much feel through it because it's electrically assisted, obviously, so there's not going to be that much feel. It's always going to be a little bit numb, but it's fine. I mean, you turn the wheel, the car reacts instantly. The body control in this car is amazing. This car feels light, it feels nimble, it feels tossable. It feels, again, like you are the center of the car, and when you make a move, you make an input, the car reacts around it instantly. This is the best handling BMW platform. Obviously, it's the smallest and lowest. It's got the lowest center of gravity and the lightest weight. Obviously, it's going to be the best handling car. And not one moment am I driving this car wishing it had the M Sport suspension, because I go over bumps, potholes, manhole covers, and nothing is offensive. It's got an absolutely amazingly comfortable ride. Yeah, you feel bumps, and yeah, it is a little bouncy sometimes, but when you go over bumps, it's really not as bad as you'd expect given how well this car handles. It's got the best combination of any car that I know of right now of comfort and tossability and, you know, athleticness. Yeah. All right, hold on. Let's floor it here. Revs up to 6,700 RPM, 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds in this car. When I put my foot down in this, it goes, yeah, it's not very fast and it doesn't make a very good noise, but it's got plenty of power, and in this body, this engine works really well. Going back to the suspension, I don't know of any car on the market right now or that I've driven that has this good of a combination of being a really good handler, super good around turns, and very athletic, very sporty, but also having such a comfortable ride over bumps. It holds composure over everything you drive it over. None of the bumps are directed straight to your spine like what you'd expect for a sporty vehicle. It's got a super comfortable sonorous ride. The seats are very comfortable, but it also handles so damn well. This car drives so damn well. Handles great. The engine is not my favorite in terms of noise, but in terms of vibration, harshness, and smoothness, this feels as smooth as BMW's 6 cylinders does. Right now I'm driving along at 36 miles per hour and I don't hear it and I don't feel the engine. It's just really smooth and quiet and nice. Yeah, sometimes when you're slowing down the downshifts, you definitely feel them a little bit more than I'd like. And it's not a great sound, but again, it's a 4-cylinder BMW. They've never been known for being the best at sound, but it makes up for it in literally everything else. It's got good power, it's smooth, it's quiet, it's just a really good engine, and it's got plenty of power. It gets well over 30 mpg regularly. They just nailed this car in every aspect of driving it, except for sound and except for how it engages the driver. There's no manual transmission. The steering is electrically assisted and doesn't have any feel to it. But in terms of a combination of spirited driving and everyday driving, this is the best BMW that they make. And it's their least expensive two-door car. It's hard to make an argument against it. I love the S58. Don't get me wrong, in the S58 and the M2 and M4 that I've reviewed, I love that engine, but it always feels like it's fueled by pure adrenaline, and I can't always match up to that level of energy, if that makes sense. It's like if you have a cat and that cat at 3 in the morning decides this is the best time to run around the house and cause chaos, you're half asleep and you're trying to control this animal and get it to calm down, but you really aren't matching the level of energy that the cat has. That's how it feels sometimes driving these high performance M-powered BMWs. It's just they have a lot of energy to them. They really feel like they want to get up and go, and I can't always match that level of energy. That's a good thing that they have that energy to them. They should, but sometimes I just can't match up to it. This car isn't encouraging me to put my foot down and drive crazy on the Nürburgring or the Autobahn. This car just matches the mood that I'm in when I'm driving perfectly, no matter what it is. If I just want to relax on the way home from work, it's perfect for that. If I want to take it on some back roads and really push it, it's great for that as well. It always matches my mood of driving, and that is a very important thing for me. And it's comfortable, again, good quality interior. Everything about it is just better than you'd expect for what it is. It drives better than pretty much every other BMW in everyday situations. It's just such a good car, in my opinion. So that's going to do it for me on this video, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed. Like, subscribe, do all the normal YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.